Picture this. You're sitting at your desk, filling out your new hire paperwork, and the HR person leans over and says, "Make sure you max out that 401k. It's the smartest thing you can do." So you do it. You set aside $24,500 a year, watch your paycheck shrink, and feel like you're doing everything right. Fast forward 10 years, and you've got $400,000 sitting in an account you can't touch without penalties, while you're still living paycheck to paycheck, can't afford a down payment on a house, and just put an emergency vet bill on a credit card at 22% interest. Sound familiar? My name is Ron, and I've been borderline obsessed with exposing the 401k myths that keep people broke while thinking they're rich. If you're someone who's been told to max out retirement accounts while drowning in present-day financial stress, hit subscribe and thumbs up if this helps. Look, I need to start by saying something important. 401ks aren't bad. They're a tool. But here's the thing. We've been sold this one-size-fits-all narrative that maxing out your 401k is always the right move. And it's created a generation of people who are retirement rich, but life poor. The advice usually goes something like this. Put away 15 to 20% of your income, max out that 401k, get the tax deduction, let it grow tax-deferred, and you'll be set when you're 65. And you know what? For some people, that's actually great advice. But for most people, it's causing serious financial damage right now. Here's what most people don't realize. According to Federal Reserve data, about 37% of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 unexpected expense without borrowing money or selling something. At the same time, Vanguard's How America Saves report shows that the average 401k balance for people in their late 30s to mid-40s is around $103,000, with some savers having significantly more. Think about that for a second. We've got people with six figures locked away in retirement accounts they can't access, but they don't have enough cash to cover a basic emergency without going into debt. That's not financial security. That's backwards financial planning. Let me show you something that made me genuinely angry when I first calculated it. Let's say you're 28 years old, making $75,000 a year. You're maxing out your 401k at $24,500 annually. Good for you, right? You're being responsible. But here's your reality. Your traditional 401k contribution reduces your taxable income, so you're paying less in federal income tax. You save about $5,390 in taxes in the 22% bracket. But after all taxes, that $75,000 becomes about $57,000 take-home if you weren't contributing to the 401k. When you max it out at $24,500, your actual take-home drops by about $19,100 after accounting for the tax savings. So you're living roughly on $37,900 a year. In most cities, that's barely scraping by. So what happens? You put the car repair on a credit card, the medical bill goes on another card, you can't afford to replace your laptop when it dies, so you finance it at Best Buy. You're paying 18 to 24% interest on debt because you locked all your money away in an account earning maybe 8 to 10% if you're lucky. Here's the actual math. Let's say you have $8,000 in credit card at 22% interest. That debt cost you $1,760 per year just in interest. Meanwhile, that same $8,000 in your 401k is growing at maybe 8%, which is $640 in gains. You're paying $1,760 to earn $640. You're losing $1,120 every single year because of this strategy. And we call this smart money management. Now you might be thinking, but Ron, what about the employer match? What about the tax deduction? Great question. Let's talk about it. The employer match is the one thing everyone gets right. If your company matches up to, say, 5% of your salary, you should absolutely contribute enough to get that full match. That's free money, an instant 100% return. But here's where people make the mistake. They think that if getting the match is good, then maxing out the 401k must be even better. That's like saying if eating vegetables is healthy, then eating only vegetables must make me super healthy. No, you need balance. Let me give you a real example. Sarah makes $80,000 a year. Her company matches 5%, which is $4,000. Sarah should definitely contribute $4,000 to get that match. But Sarah is currently contributing $20,000 because a financial advisor told her to max it out. That extra $16,000 she's putting in, she's not getting any match on it. She's not getting any special benefit. She's just locking it away until she's 59 and a half, while she's got $12,000 in student loans at 6.5% and no emergency fund. Here's what most people don't realize. That employer match is usually the only real advantage the 401k has over other investment options. Once you've captured the match, you need to seriously evaluate whether dumping more money into that account makes sense for your specific situation. This is where it gets really interesting. People get so excited about the tax deduction that they don't actually run the numbers. Let me show you what's really happening. If you're in the 22% tax bracket and you contribute $20,000 to your 401k, you save $4,400 in taxes today. Sounds great, right? But here's the thing nobody tells you. You're not avoiding those taxes, you're deferring them. When you pull that money out in retirement, you're going to pay taxes on every single dollar, the original contribution, and all the growth. So if that $20,000 grows to $150,000 over 30 years, you're going to pay taxes on the full $150,000 when you withdraw it. Now, the growth was tax deferred, which can still be a real advantage, but the benefit isn't as automatic as people think. But Ron, I'll be in a lower tax bracket when I retire. Will you? Really? Look, it depends on your individual situation. Some retirees do end up in lower brackets, but if you successfully save for retirement, you might actually be in the same or even higher bracket because of required minimum distributions, Social Security taxation, pension income from other sources you've built up. I'm not saying tax deferral is bad, but I am saying it's not the magical benefit everyone pretends it is. For a lot of people, especially if they're early in their career and currently in a lower bracket, paying taxes now on a Roth IRA or a taxable brokerage account actually makes more sense. Here's what really frustrates me about the max out your 401k advice. It completely ignores the value of flexibility. Life doesn't wait until you're 65 and a half. You might want to start a business at 35. You might need to take a career sabbatical at 42. You might want to retire early at 50. You might face a medical emergency at 38. You might need to help a family member at 45. And when any of those things happen, that mountain of money in your 401k is basically useless to you. Now, to be fair, you do have some options. You can take a 401k loan, up to $50,000 or 50% of your vested balance, and if you pay it back on schedule, there's no penalty. The SEC Secure 2.0 Act also created new emergency withdrawal options starting in 2024. You can withdraw up to $1,000 per year for emergencies without the 10% penalty. But these are limited safety valves, not real flexibility. If you need substantial money for a life opportunity or major expense, you're still facing that 10% penalty plus your full tax rate on early withdrawals. So if you pull out $20,000 in an emergency and you're in the 22% tax bracket, you're paying $2,000 in penalties and $4,400 in taxes. You get $13,600. You just lost 32% of your money to access your own cash. This is why having money in accessible accounts matters so much. Now you might be thinking, okay, Ron, so what should I do instead? Here's my hierarchy of wealth building, and I want you to really think about this. Step 1. Contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. This is non-negotiable. It's free money. Step 2. Build a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Right now, you can get 4 to 5% interest with zero risk. Step 3. Pay off any high-interest debt. Anything above 7% interest rate needs to go. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans with terrible rates. Kill them. Step 4. Now here's where it gets interesting. Before you put another dollar in your 401k, consider maxing out a Roth IRA. In 2026, that's $7,500 per year, or $8,500 if you're over 50. Why? Because Roth IRA contributions can be withdrawn at any time, tax and penalty free. The growth has to wait until retirement, but your contributions are accessible. It's flexibility. Step 5. If you want true financial freedom, open a taxable brokerage account and invest in low-cost index funds. Yeah, you pay taxes on the gains, but you know what you get? Complete access to your money whenever you want it. No penalties, no restrictions. Step 6. Only after you've done all of that should you consider putting extra money into your 401k beyond the match. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. Marcus is 32, makes $90,000 a year. His company matches 6%, so he contributes $5,400 to get the full $5,400 match. Then he puts $7,500 into a Roth IRA and another $15,000 into a taxable brokerage account. His friend Devin makes the same amount, but maxes out his 401k at $24,500. Fast forward 5 years, Marcus has about $30,000 in his 401k, $48,000 in his Roth IRA, and $90,000 in his brokerage account. He's built a fully funded emergency fund, too. Devin has $145,000 in his 401k and $2,000 in savings. Then they both want to start a business. Marcus can pull from his brokerage account and his Roth contributions. He's got access to over $125,000 if he needs it. No penalties, no restrictions. Devin, he's got $2,000. If he touches his 401k, he can take a loan up to $50,000, but he has to pay it back with interest or face penalties. For anything more, he's losing 32% to penalties and taxes. Who's actually got more financial freedom? Here's the thing that really gets me. Maxing out your 401k makes you feel rich while keeping you poor. You look at that statement every quarter and see the balance going up, up, up. You feel like you're doing great. You're on track for retirement. Meanwhile, you're living paycheck to paycheck in your actual life. You can't afford to take a vacation with credit cards. You can't help your kid with college. You can't take advantage of investment opportunities. You can't weather financial storms. There's actually a term for this in behavioral economics, mental accounting. We treat money in different accounts as if it's fundamentally different money, even though it's all just money. That $200,000 in your 401k feels like retirement money, and that $500 in your checking account feels like real money, even though they're both yours. This creates real stress. Research from various sources, including surveys from Vanguard and the Federal Reserve, consistently shows that people with low emergency savings report high financial stress, even when they have substantial retirement account balances. Having money you can't touch doesn't relieve the anxiety of not being able to handle today's problems. Because here's what most people don't realize. Financial security isn't about the total amount of money you have. It's about having the right money in the right places at the right time. Look, I don't want you to think I'm saying nobody should max out their 401k. There are absolutely people who should. You should consider maxing it out if, 1, you've already done everything else. Emergency fund fully funded, high interest debt eliminated, Roth IRA maxed, and you still have extra money to invest. 2, if you're high income, making $200,000 plus, and in a high tax bracket where the tax deferral actually provides significant savings. 3, if you're within 10 to 15 years of retirement and you're in serious catch-up mode. 4, if you have substantial assets outside of retirement accounts and the 401k is just one part of a diversified strategy. But if you're under 40, making under $150,000, carrying any debt above 6%, or you don't have 6 months of expenses saved, you probably shouldn't be maxing out your 401k. You're probably hurting your financial position by doing it. All right, here's exactly what I want you to do after watching this. First, look at your current 401k contribution. Are you getting the full employer match? If not, increase it until you are. Second, calculate your actual emergency fund needs, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Be honest, then look at what you have in savings. Third, make a list of all your debts with interest rates above 6%. Calculate how much you're paying in interest every year. Fourth, run the numbers. Is money locked in your 401k costing you more in credit card interest than it's earning you in returns? Are you sacrificing financial flexibility for retirement account you can't easily access? If the answer is yes, consider reducing your 401k contribution to just the match amount. Redirect that money to emergency savings, debt payoff, and building accessible wealth in Roth IRAs and brokerage accounts. This isn't about choosing between today and tomorrow. It's about building real wealth that serves you at every stage of your life, not just when you're 65. Here's the bottom line. The financial advice industry has convinced millions of people that locking money away for 30 to 40 years is the definition of being responsible. But being responsible means having money when you need it, not just when the rules say you can access it. Maxing out your 401k isn't inherently wrong, but doing it while you're struggling financially today, stressed about money and unable to handle emergencies, that's not a plan. That's hope disguised as strategy. Financial freedom means having options. It means being able to make choices without being handcuffed by excessive rules, penalties, and restrictions. It means building wealth that serves your life, not a life that serves your retirement account balance. So yeah, contribute to your 401k, get that match, but don't sacrifice your financial security today for a retirement account you can't touch for decades. Build wealth everywhere. Be flexible, be liquid, be free. If this changed how you think about your 401k strategy, smash that like button and subscribe for more financial truth-telling. Drop a comment and let me know. Are you maxing out your 401k or are you building accessible wealth? Let's talk about it. I'm Ron, and I'll see you in the next one.